Hi everyone, this video is about American imperialism. And after watching this video, you should be able to identify key factors that influence the United States to expand beyond its continental borders, meaning beyond the Atlantic and Pacific coasts. So imperialism is basically when a strong country uses its strength to get what they want from a weaker country. Many times this can be when a strong country conquers a weak one. Other times, imperialism can be more complicated. For example, a powerful country can use the strength of its economy or its military to get a weaker country to do what the really strong country wants the weaker country to do. And that doesn't mean that the strong country directly takes over the weak country. Remember, in this period of American history, in the late 1800s, early 1900s, the United States is still pretty young. It's barely over 100 years old. And as the ages of countries go, that isn't very old. At the same time, the United States is blessed with several valuable natural resources. And during the Gilded Age, we know that some Americans made a ton of money. And there were a number of inventions and innovations that came out of America that made America a big deal on the world stage. So, what this means for us is that some people in the United States started to see the country's role in the world a bit differently. Instead of trying to stay out of global affairs, which was pretty much how the United States had acted since Washington was president, some people began to think that the United States should use its new strength to take a more active role in the world. These people who wanted America to expand are called imperialists, and they thought the United States should establish itself among the stronger countries in the world. There were a number of reasons why imperialists thought the United States should expand. We are going to look at 5 of those reasons in this video, and you should know that this is not a complete list. And you could certainly find other reasons that imperialists pointed to defend the United States' imperialistic policies. Here are the 5 reasons that you should be aware of as we go forward. Know that these are not listed in any order of significance. First is the idea of social Darwinism. The idea that the strongest survive and thrive applied to countries as well as individuals. And so when countries, such as France and Britain, were adding on to their empires in Africa and Asia, the United States felt like they needed an empire too. It was that mindset that said that the United States needed to grow or it would be left behind. And that seemed to motivate American imperialists to build a large navy, acquire more territory, and expand the United States' economic power to different places around the globe. So related to that is the second factor that influenced Americans to play a more active role in the world: money. The United States was producing a lot of goods, like food grown on American farms and oil. There were not enough people to buy all of the products that America was producing in the United States, and so many Americans were looking for new places or markets like China and Japan, to sell their valuable products. Third, some American businessmen were looking to meet the demands of Americans who wanted to buy products that were not easily produced in the United States. So these American businessmen, like Minor C. Keith, went out to different environments to gain access to goods, like bananas and sugar, that Americans wanted to buy. In the process, these American businessmen became so rich and so powerful that they were able to make governments in other countries, like Costa Rica, do what the Americans wanted. Fourth, as more American ships traveled across the ocean and the American Navy got more and more powerful, these boats needed a place to refuel and pick up needed supplies. Sometimes these places would be far from the American homeland, and so Americans looked to new places to expand where these boats could get the fuel and supplies they needed in order to get their shipments to the markets or carry out their missions. Finding islands in the middle of the ocean with great harbors were particularly desirable. Finally, many felt that American values like democracy and the dominant religion in the United States, Christianity, were just superior to those people who lived under different forms of government or practiced different religions. These Americans felt it was their responsibility to bring Christianity to non-Christians, or try to bring democracy and their ideas of freedom to people who may have lived under kings or queens, or from Americans' perspectives, did not have the voice in the government that they deserved. Based on how many people really had access to the vote in America, I know it's ironic, but that seems to be the case. So now that you've watched this video, you should be able to answer the question of why did Americans begin to develop imperialistic policies? Thanks for watching. Here is a really dumb joke. Why did the little girl put her father in the freezer? She wanted an ice cold pop. That was by Bob Phillips. Not my favorite joke.